All right, hey everyone. Today, I just got home from Venom. Let There Be Carnage, and I'm really excited to talk about it. And hope you guys are excited to talk about it too. So, um, honestly, I wasn't expecting much from this movie. Honestly, I wasn't even gonna go see this movie right away. It just kind of happened to be that some friends wanted to go, and so I ended up just kind of tagging along to see it. Um, my expectations for this movie were pretty meh. Like the first one I watched wasn't bad, but it wasn't something I was like, oh, this is great. This is like I'm really excited about this and stuff like that. So I didn't really care as much, and it's like since Sony's producing Venom, I wasn't really as concerned since it's not part of the MCU. I was like, oh, whatever. I'll hold off on it. But I think there was actually some like really good stuff in this film. Um, so we'll start with some positives first. I think that this movie does a better job of giving some character to like character development and growth to Eddie and Venom's relationship. I really like the concept behind this movie. I'm trying not to spoil too much right now. I'll probably do a little bit of spoiler discussion in a little bit. Um, but it's almost like this movie is like the first movie is about the origin story and stuff like that, and this movie is about the actual relationship between those two characters, and that's what it's developing and that's what it's focusing on. I think that they did a good job on that part. On that front, they showed some like character disconnect and their growth throughout the movie, and like the scenes with them together were pretty either like good or funny. So I like not that the funny ones weren't bad, but like they were like a serious like well done serious tone, or they were really funny. Um, uh, Carnage was fantastic. I had a good time watching that. Now, I haven't read any of the Venom comics or anything like that. I'm not a huge comic book nerd. Um, it just was never my type of thing. I kind of wish I was because there's a lot I feel like I'm missing out on without knowing all these stories from the background. But to me, I would say as like a outsider looking in from that perspective, I had a good time with it. I don't think that the movie overall was really like it's not supposed to be like it's a fun action movie. It's not going to be like really deep or profound or anything like that. There was a lot of really cool action sequences that I enjoyed. The jokes were pretty good. I This one was rated PG-13. I just want to check. Oh, the first one was PG-13 as well. Interesting. I actually thought these both of these movies should have been rated R. They should have just turned up the violence and lived with the consequences of making it a little bit more bloody. Because I don't think you can have an alien symbiote who has no regard for human life and like needs to consume humans to survive essentially. Not I mean like there's other ways around it that are addressed in this movie, but you know, I don't think you can really set that to a PG-13. So there was a little bit of like fudging in this movie that I definitely saw that I was like, "Oh, okay, so we're not going to show the blood or the gore because we want to keep our rating at PG-13." Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Um I kind of felt like the conclusion of this movie and like the build up to it was a little quick, a little fast paced. Um, they had callbacks. I didn't watch the first movie right before we went. I haven't seen the first. I've only seen the first one like once or twice, and it's been a little while. So like I didn't have a lot of that knowledge bringing into this movie, but I felt like they did some callbacks to the first movie characters and like tried to introduce more things. But it almost felt like this movie didn't have enough time to really sit and breathe on some of the elements. Like it felt like they were trying to do too many things within the film itself. And I think that's like for me, I've been really enjoying like the Disney Plus shows, and I think just in general with the way TV's been developing, I'm almost like a lot of these comic book stories, I almost feel like they belong in a TV format where we have a season to really sit down with these characters and do setups and payoffs, and tell these longer stories. Now, you can still have a good movie, and obviously, like with the MCU, you're telling a story over the course of, several movies rather than just one. But like I think there could have been like a little bit more focus in this, a little like, as I said, like the positive for me was the relationship building between and like development between Venom and Eddie. But like there were definitely a couple moments in the film, especially in like the finale, where I was like, yeah, that probably could have been set up a little bit better. We probably needed a little bit more time to sit with this. Yeah, I think that's it for. There's one spoiler thing I want to talk about, but if you are not a huge fan of Marvel and stuff like that, or superhero movies, probably not the film for you. You're probably already going to see it if you're a big Marvel fan anyway. So I would say like this is a movie that like if you want to go see it and you're like a Marvel fan and you're like kind of on the fence, I feel like you could wait a little bit. You don't need to like see it right out the gate. But like it's all right. It's not something that I'm like. It's definitely like good and all right for Marvel. For me is like still a solid film, but it's nothing that's like I feel like that's doing anything different or new. It's just another good superhero film, which we have a bunch of now. So if you're not like into that, probably not your thing. If you are into that and you want to go see it to the movies, then go see it. So I'm going to talk about one spoiler thing that was really cool for me. So if you don't want any spoilers and you haven't seen the movie yet, I'm going to talk about this. Go, turn off. I won't be hurt. My feelings won't be hurt. Okay? Okay. So, the mid-credit scene. My fiance was sitting next to me, and I was just like, smack, 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 smack. Like, the entire time, as soon as, like, that, when the multiverse was bending, and there was that shift, and, like, that Eddie shifted between his world and the MCU, I was, as soon as I saw that like shift and he was in a different room, I knew exactly what was happening and I was freaking out. My fiance did not appreciate it and also didn't know what was going on until like later when they make it the big reveal with the Daily Bugle and Spider-Man and stuff like that. I love that. And part of the reason I didn't want to go see this film was because it wasn't really connected to the MCU, and like there's so many things coming up that I'm just like, and like so many things have come out this year that I'm just like, I don't I didn't want to like I was like if I can skip something, this isn't going to be connected, I'll skip this. But again, it was just happy coincidence that I ended up going in the first place. That's really cool and something I didn't expect between Sony and Disney, because I thought, they've had like obviously a good working relationship. We had that scare with Spider-Man a little while ago. And I was really surprised they did that. So I don't know if there's something going behind the scenes. Maybe you guys know and can post it down in the comments. But for me, it's really interesting because like my personal taste is I love these big overarching stories. That's why I read a lot of fantasy books, especially like really thick, super bulky fantasy books like Wheel of Time. So incorporating more things into the MCU for me is, I'm just like sold. Do it. I know that can be a problem for, the casual viewer because there's just so many things to keep up on. It's really difficult to like really watch everything and then get all the references. I do think they do a pretty good job of like, obviously like you've got your big things that like, I'm thinking like Endgame level things that clearly pay off for you to have watched everything. So you get all the little Easter eggs and hints that have been, spaced throughout the entirety of all the movies. But like, yeah, it did. And that kind of hit me from left field because I didn't have that spoiled for me before I went in. I didn't know that was going to happen. I didn't even suspect that was going to happen. I figured that if they were going to do something like that, from the last time I heard, they were going to do like they were going to do like a Sony Spider-Verse basically, where it's just going to be like the other Spider-Man characters in their own thing. And I figured like with the multiverse, that's a good way to explain why there's these superheroes going on in two different kind of worlds. But it's really interesting, and I'm kind of excited to see, like, I was already excited to see Spider-Man No Way Home, but I'm like, okay. I'm a little nervous too, because I'm a little nervous about how they're going to incorporate all of these characters that they're bringing in without making it feel just like a super crowded movie. Now, they've done that before with, Avengers, like Endgame, stuff like that. I'm a little concerned that they're going to try to do too many things. They're going to try to bring too many Easter eggs, and it's going to kind of take away from the actual story itself. It's just going to be like a big, like, fan pleaser, where it's just going to be like, oh, hey, look who we brought back, and look at this character who we brought in. And, like, I still want them to tell a good story in that movie. So I hope that they have thought about that and are planning that, and it's not just going to be a big like, look at all the characters we're bringing into the next Spider-Man. So, but we'll see. That'll be it for this one. I actually talked a little bit longer than I was expecting, but if you like the video, leave a like, subscribe if you do like the content I produce. I really appreciate it, and it does help the channel out a lot. And, as I said before, I'd love to discuss this movie with some of you, so go ahead and post comments down below. We can talk about it. I get to all of your comments, and I'm interested to know what some other people are feeling, and I'm wondering if other people are concerned with where, like, with the next Spider-Man movie, and I'm also curious to what people think is going to happen moving forward, or if people have information about that moving forward. So, all right. I'll see everyone next time.